I love to eat a warm biscuit with a little bit of butter and a giant dollop of honey. I'm Sarah Simmons, and I am the biscuits' #1 fan. To me, biscuits are the ultimate comfort food. I think it's something that everyone associates with Southern cuisine. First, we're gonna start with our flour mixture. We use a combination of all-purpose flour and cake flour. And cake flour is a lighter flour, it's lower protein, so it's really gonna give it that fluffiness. So we're gonna combine the cake flour with the all-purpose flour. Baking is a science, and that's why it's so important to use a scale and not to use measures, because everyone has a different version of what they call a cup. So just to make it exact, a gram is a gram is a gram. We're gonna add 17 grams of kosher salt and our leavening agents. 7 grams of baking soda, and we have 21 grams of baking powder. And we're gonna stir this gently until it's all incorporated. Biscuits are such an important part of the Southern table. I can't remember an event or a special occasion or any type of celebration where biscuits weren't on the menu. So making biscuits is like having a little bit of a special occasion or a celebration every day. Here we have 285 grams of cold butter that we have cut into 1/2-inch cubes, and that's really important because it's gonna allow us to perfectly incorporate that into the flour mixture. So we're gonna put that in, and then we use a technique I like to call the pinch the baby technique. You know when you see a baby that has these big fat round cheeks and you just wanna go and squeeze them? Well, imagine that you're squeezing the cheeks of the baby. You're lightly touching them just enough to like give it a good squeeze, but so you don't hurt the baby. So that's how we're gonna work the butter into the flour. Just wanna run your fingers through and make sure that you don't find any of those large cubes of butter. You just don't want any of those really large chunks left. We're really looking for the texture of crumbled feta. So now we're gonna add about 500 grams of cold buttermilk. We're gonna create a little well in the center of the flour mixture, and then we're gonna pour the buttermilk in. Now I'm gonna incorporate the buttermilk. I'm gonna turn the bowl and the spoon and fold it over. You don't wanna work the dough too much. You just wanna get it to be fully incorporated. Touch it and handle the dough as little as possible. I'm gonna lightly dust the board with some bench flour. Now we're gonna turn the biscuits out onto the board. So I'm just gonna lightly press the flour and kind of work it into a mound. And then I'm gonna pat it down. You wanna be very delicate when you're patting it down. You don't wanna just push all your body weight into it. I'm gonna use some of the bench flour on my fingertips, put a little bit on the sides of the board. And to make those really flaky, buttery layers, we're gonna fold the dough over. So we're gonna fold it 1/3 of it towards us. And then the other third, we're gonna fold over. I'm gonna pat that down. And we're gonna fold it again. So we're gonna fold it over 1/3. And then the other third, fold it on top, and then pat that down. And we're gonna flip it seam side down. Now we're gonna use the rolling pin to lightly roll it out. If you overwork the dough, then you're probably going to end up with something closer to a biscuit cracker than a soft and light, fluffy biscuit. I'm gonna do one more fold. And flip. So the folds is really what gives you those nice flaky layers. Every time you fold it and roll it, you're just sheeting that butter, and then roll it out for the last time. Now it's time to cut the biscuits. So it's really important when you're cutting the biscuits, just press straight down and straight up. A lot of people like to get in there and really twist the cutter, but when you do that, then you're actually pinching the sides. So you won't get that perfect rise that we're looking for. So just straight down, straight up. And the biscuit usually will come out with the cutter. And you wanna make sure that you're cutting them just as close as you can because you don't want to waste any of that amazing dough. And I like to put the biscuits on the pan close together. You don't have to have them pressing up against each other, but as they start to rise, they'll actually work together to lift themselves up. We're gonna take all of the remaining dough, we're gonna pat it down really carefully back into the ball, and we're gonna give it another roll. We usually re-roll the dough just one more time, so you get 2 rolls out of it. Pat it down. And roll it out. And because we've already folded this dough, I'm only gonna do 1 fold here, just to kind of bring it all back together. Flip it over, seam down, and roll it out. And cut this last round of biscuits. So straight down and up. And this scrap that we're not gonna re-roll, I really love to bake it off, toss it with a little sugar, and then bake that, and we use that in one of our desserts. But you wanna save the best biscuit dough for the fluffy biscuits that you're gonna put on the table. Now we're gonna put these into a 350-degree oven and set a timer for 20 minutes, and then we'll give them a check. Take one of the biscuits and pull the top up. If it's a little doughy on the inside, then it's gonna need a little more time, but this one looks like it's perfectly done. And here we have a perfect Southern biscuit made from all local ingredients from South Carolina. And I think there's some magic in that.